Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Boom Comic Source collaboration. Happy Canada Day to all the
That's right.
neighbors north of the border. If you're watching
Well,
this on
thank you.
Wednesday, yeah. And happy 4th of July, the Independence Day here in the United States. 250 years of the United States, and boy, I don't know what to say. Like the way it's being celebrated, like it's just what a debacle. What a complete debacle. Which I
Yeah.
guess in a way sort of fits my mood for this week of DC. I did not care. Like I can't remember a week of DC Comics that I liked less than this week. Like we might have to go all the way back to Future State. I've talked about it a
Yeah.
ton of times. Like the way that I do my rankings. I what book would I like to reread the least, and
Yeah.
that's last, and then I go on and on. I did not do that this time. I ranked them like what could I taught like what did I actually enjoy, and that's how I ranked it this time. And yeah, my number one pick was super easy, and then after that it was like when you find out what my second pick was, Rocky, you're gonna be
Yeah.
like, yeah, like it was one, yeah, it was one book I really enjoyed. A few books that to me at least they were what I'll call regular issues, regular comics.
Yeah.
They're in the main DCU, they mattered, and then, we go downhill quickly from that. Now, I want to be clear that I am not saying anything whatsoever. I do not mean to disparage any creators, and I'm not saying that these are low quality. I'm just saying for me, the books this week for various reasons, some of them because they were out of continuity, a lot to do with the themes of what's going on. And maybe it's just me right now. Like, I went and saw the Supergirl movie this last weekend. I know Rocky and Steve did as well. You guys can if you're watching us on YouTube on Rocky's channel, he's got a Supergirl review up. I haven't had time to watch their review yet. I do want to.
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll get a little spoilery here.
Yeah.
So
Well, you
if you
you
haven't
want to
seen
say a
it,
few things about Supergirl right now, or
yeah,
go
yeah. Well,
go ahead.
I'm gonna explain why I'm feeling a little down. Like I
Yeah.
don't like the reason that this week really didn't resonate for me. There's a lot of depressing comics this week. There's a lot of comics this week from DC that deal
Yeah.
with like heavy themes and it's just like, oh my god, like over like it's almost like, and I feel this way with the Supergirl movie, and I texted you guys right after I got out. It's like I enjoyed it for the most part, but all it takes is one kind of major event in the movie or the ending or whatever to kind
Hmm.
of completely spoil it for me.
Yeah.
And it's like these filmmakers, they keep forgetting what it is that makes DC special. And you and I have talked about it time and time and time again. It's the
Absolutely.
hopefulness. And I don't care if it's corny and I don't care if it's hokey, but when I go and see a DC movie, I want to walk out and I want to feel good. When I read a DC comic, I want to, not every single comic, but by the end of the story arc, I should feel some hope. I shouldn't feel despair and be like, oh, God, the world is spiraling. And that's kind of what I felt. And what makes it even more frustrating with Supergirl is the fact that she goes out of her way in the book that Tom King wrote not to kill Krim. She goes out of her way. In the movie itself, she's preaching over and over to Ruthie, don't kill, don't kill. It,
Yeah.
it takes something from you, don't kill. And I was like, what? What the, like, seriously, what the fuck? That's how I felt when
Yeah.
she did that. I was
When she did. Yeah.
like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
And I get, oh, it's not realistic if she doesn't kill, whatever. That's the fucking point. That's the point of DC superheroes, that they're better than us. They don't succumb to their lesser angels.
Yeah.
And it just, there was so, like, I was the first, like, I talked to a few different people earlier in the week. I heard it's not doing that great, projections, whatever. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I'm going to go see it, even though I'd never really seen Millie Alcock in anything. And I saw a few interviews, not necessarily for this. I saw her do some interviews about, I guess she was in Game of Thrones or something
Yeah.
like that. And then
Yeah.
I saw her
Yeah.
do some interviews for this as it was going. And there was a disconnect there. I didn't see her as Supergirl. I wasn't really necessarily expecting to like her Supergirl. Plus, this whole thing of, okay, I get that you wanted to adapt the Woman of Tomorrow series, and that's a great series. But to me, the fact that she goes off to a red sun planet and gets drunk at the beginning is like the tiniest little point of it.
Hmm.
And yet, James Gunn decided, apparently, or Gillespie or whoever wrote it or
Hmm.
whatever, decided to lean way into that aspect, which I felt was a very small aspect. And so when I saw her in Superman, I was like, that's not a likable character. She shows up drunk or whatever. That's just
Yeah.
so her. Like I didn't. So I
Hard.
was. I say all that to say I was kind of predisposed to dislike Millie Alcock in the role and dislike her as a superhero. But I'm glad to be wrong. I thought she did a fantastic job. I thought all the actors did a fantastic job. Shout out to, oh my god, I'm gonna forget his name.
Jason Momoa?
Um, no, a lesser character than that. The guy that played
Krem?
Supergirl's father,
Oh, that guy.
um,
Oh, I
who I
thought.
love. He's in a ton of stuff. I
Yeah.
really love his. I'll look it up as you talk about it. But I loved his role as Zor-El. I thought
Oh
he did a
man.
fantastic job. Felt the gravitas and everything. So there was like I liked 90% of the movie, but the problem is when the, that happens at the end, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth for the whole
Mm.
thing. So,
Yeah.
couple that with, again, what's going on politically and societally in this country, and then I get depressing books from DC this week. It was not a good combo for me. I was not in the right mindset to probably, honestly, to be objective about these books. I was just like, oh my god, enough with all the depressing crap. Can I have some hopeful stuff? Which maybe helps explain why my number one was a no brainer and like why I really loved it. And it'll make sense when we get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't had a chance to see your review.
Uh,
But give us real quick your thoughts on it.
well, my quick thoughts. I thought it was a fun popcorn movie. I agree the ending was completely wrong. This wasn't. I think this was a huge disappointment. This was not honorable of the source material of Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. It, in particular, the one of the standouts were the unbelievable ending, which was so disappointing in terms of how it sort of really denigrated Supergirl and all of the House of L, as far as I'm concerned. But also just how dark and gloomy this movie was. Bill Kerseverly's beautiful, colorful art. The DC universe is a beautiful galaxy. It's colorful, it's bright, and to have no Easter eggs, no Green Lanterns, none of the planets were bright or beautiful. There was no. We should have had a more awesome looking DC galaxy, and we didn't. It was gloomy. It was disappointing. I thought that you mentioned it. Supergirl in the comic book gets drunk once on her 21st birthday in the comic because she was just feeling a little bit down on herself, and she'd never gotten drunk before, so she got drunk once. In the movie, I couldn't tell when she was sober or drunk. I couldn't tell. I mean, for all intents and purposes, she was sarcastic, equally sarcastic when she was sober as when she was drunk. When she was, how many bars did she go to? I thought this isn't Supergirl, and it missed the point. And also, I didn't appreciate the change of the origin of Supergirl. Her being born on Argo City was wrong. She's born on Krypton. They had her born on Argo City 8 years in. They minimized the trauma. Supergirl in the book, they never established why she was so traumatized as well as the comic did. In the comic, she witnessed the death of Krypton, then she witnessed the death of Argo City, then she gets to Earth and realizes that Superman's all grown up. So she has a trifecta of disappointment. None of that it was adequately hit home for me. But it did have its moments. When I say it did have its moments, it did have some moments that tugged a little bit at the heartstrings, and it had some humor. I did like some of the action sequences, so there was enough there that I think people should go and see it. But my DC bias, my love for the source material, had me be basically disappointed with this movie. And but at the end of the day, I don't think it's not the worst superhero movie I've ever seen, but I do think it broke my heart. It broke my heart because it could have been the
It had a lot of
potential.
potential.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, the potential that this had, but it just sort of squandered it. It was really heartbreaking to me.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, the dark and gritty does not work with DC. You knew that. You knew that. Why did you go? I just don't get it. David Krumholtz is the actor. I love him. He's great in everything. He did a fantastic job. The other thing that, again, this is just subjective for me, the disappointing, the confirmation that Jor-El did have these ideas of Kal-El being a,
Conqueror.
emperor of Earth or
Yeah.
whatever, having that confirmed.
Just
I didn't like that either. So
yeah.
yeah, enough said. I'm curious though, because you saw it twice, right? You took your family and then you went with Steve. Is that right?
No, I did not. I only
No,
saw
you
it
just went with
once.
Steve. Okay, because I
Yeah.
because I went with my wife and daughter, and they both really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So again, I think DC fans that know the lore and know
Hmm.
her origin and everything, and know her characterization, are probably inclined to like it less than just
Yeah.
the average casual
Yeah.
moviegoer. But here's the thing: if you lose the core audience, which I would consider you and I to be part of the core audience, if you lose them,
Hmm.
then there's no buzz, and then you don't attract the casual people that would like it. You did
Yeah.
it back. You did it backwards. You had to win us over first. And again, the source material was great. And I saw an interview that somebody reposted on social media somewhere from 2024 when this was still being developed, and it was with Tom King talking about the story being adapted, and he went out of his way to stress how Krem lives, how Krem survives, how Supergirl does not kill Krem in the book,
Hmm.
and yet here we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree with you. I was a bit, well, not a bit. I was,
Hmm.
yeah, I was disappointed. So just like I was kind of disappointed in the books this week, but
Yeah.
again, not every week is going to be a winner. And hey, I'm looking at it this way. Like, you want to take a silver lining?
Hmm.
To me, all the doom and gloom books, the books that made me feel sad and depressed, they're all in one week. And now
Yeah.
next thing, get them all
Yeah.
out of the way. Because some of them here we have like the endings of series and what have you. So beginnings of some as well. But anyway, let's go ahead and kick it off with Absolute Green Lantern, issue number 16. All We've Got, written by Al Ewing, art by Sid Kotian, colors by Pressy, letters by Lucas Gattoni. This came into my top five, but I want to stress only because of it was a weaker week for me. It was a
Yeah.
weaker week. And this continues to be a little bit inscrutable. It continues to be, wait, what the heck is going on? And having a little bit of hard time understanding. But I appreciated the flashback and the talk that a lot of the main characters had back in Evergreen, long before the Lantern ever landed. With John Stewart and Joe Mullane and Hal Jordan sitting around talking. Um, about why they're there and what makes Evergreen special, and it's the people, it's the community, and that kind of thing. Seeing Hal wield the purple light, violet light, I guess you'd say, was interesting as well. I mean, he's gone on quite the journey from being from having the black hand infected him to now wielding purple light. Seeing just how powerful Joe is, which we got a hint of last issue. Plus, I really enjoyed the sequence with Simon Boz and Cameron Chase at the beginning with Johnny Double. That was interesting and fun. So it's like there's moments. This book has moments, but you know that phrase where the sum is greater than the part, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
This is a situation where the whole is less than the sum of the parts,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because there's too many questions, too many things that we still don't understand. I
Yeah.
thought the art was fine, the colors are fine. So to me, this was sort of I'll say a business as usual episode of Absolute Green Lantern. There's things I like. There's a lot of questions and mystery, and there's still an aspect of I plow through and I read it, but there's things that I just don't understand that don't necessarily make sense. And I feel like this is one of those books where if I had an annotated version of it, if I had an annotated version, right? Like I'd read a page, and then anything that might be a little mysterious or vague or whatever, I've got a little blurb that explains it to me. I would
Yeah.
be like, oh my god, this is the best comic ever. But
Yeah.
that's not comics. That's not comics. Comics are, hey, the art needs to explain what the words don't. But when they're really crazy esoteric ideas that are coming from Al Ewing's head, that's an impossible job for the artist to do. So yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, it comes in at 4. It's still selling really well, but yeah, it still continues to frustrate me, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
Because again, much like with the Supergirl movie, there's a lot of potential here. What are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, came in at number 4 for me too. Actually, same number, and same frustration. I love your twist on the phrase. The whole is lesser than the sum of the parts, because there are individual scenes here that really sort of ram home and make some very good points. But you know, maybe we have a little bit of movement forward. I'm now all these sort of the absolute spectrum is finally arguably starting to come together. We got the Black Star of Sinestro finally confronting them, and he's kind of disappointing because he just wants to, I guess, kill everything, including his own Black Stars. He wants to kill them. The only reason they weren't all killed by Sinestro, the ultimate Black Star, is because Hal Jordan did something. He created a bubble of protection using the violet light, which I'm assuming means love. And he talks about how he utters, somebody's talking to Hal Jordan. I don't know if it's this Oracle character saying that we're all we've got, and there's something bigger than all of us. And I'm thinking, is that maybe the power of love? The all power of love, or the source? And then of course
Or
we have
maybe the community, because just the idea of community, because they had them all talking in the flashback.
Sure, absolutely, and with that community love, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, and Joel Mulene embodies that while she's in the Green Lantern construct, that the members of the community are not bullets to shoot into the Black Star, but they're actually all individual weapons, which is a pretty cool concept. And so suddenly, what's interesting about this issue, and that this issue may very well have made my top 5 in any other month, in any other week, is that I did not quite appreciate. I was wondering where Al Ewing was going with, because the focus here on Everwood, how the reason why that scene at the beginning that you said that you like so much about, they're all in, all the characters, all the main cast of the Green Lanterns in the mainstream universe, they're all basically citizens of Evergreen. And what's the significance of that? Well, it's because the Evergreen community themselves are the Green Lantern construct. They're in the Green Lantern, and they're all individual weapons themselves. So they themselves, the citizens of Evergreen, are in fact the Green Lantern Corps, or at least that's the suggestion. And they're each individual weapons to be used against the Black Star of Mogul. That's interesting. But what's also interesting is the very end, where because they're all individuals of Evergreen, they might think differently than Joel Mullein. In particular, Jessica Cruz, the absolute version of Jessica Cruz, feels alone and isolated as Mogo does, and so she actually wants to side with Mogo, which is very interesting. So while they all are aspects of perhaps this Green Lantern power, they're their own individuals as well, and they may not necessarily agree with each other, which is interesting. And again, things get a little bit wonky, and I'm not sure if I completely understand how it all melds together. But like you said, I mean, I love the way you said it there about, there are individual parts here that really are interesting, but the whole hasn't really come together yet, but it's getting there. But it's certainly enough to make my top 5 this week.
Yeah, you mentioned Jessica Cruz and her getting the power. It looks like that's going to throw things, a wrench in things. Things are going to go sideways. We know that she's dealt with trauma in the past as well. So in a way, it's like, wait, here we go again, right? We have to lean into the negative aspect of the character. We got to, and again, like she's just showing up here for the first time, so I get it. And when she showed up the first time in the main universe, she she had a lot to overcome, and she did, and it was a journey. And that Green Lanterns book was where she took a lot of that journey, and it was great. And now she's like one of the leaders, if not the kind of de facto leader of the Green Lantern Corps, and it feels earned, very much so. So here I see, oh, here we go. It feels a little reductive, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily fair for me to feel that way, because this is not the same character. This is the first time we're seeing her, and she hasn't done that journey yet. But I can't help but feel, because I like Jessica Cruz as a character, I really do, in the main universe. So I'm like, oh man, here we go again, like kind of exploiting her trauma, and when she's already moved past that. Well, that's the main universe one, not this one. But it's it's hard for me to separate. So all right, anyway, let's move on. Up next we have Poison Ivy number 46. This is from writer G. Willow Wilson, and for some reason my screen is not loading. So give me just a second. Um, I had I had the name of the book is Poison Ivy. Like I want to point that out. The name of the book is Poison Ivy. Yet Poison Ivy does not show up anywhere in this entire issue, and for me that felt a little bit like a problem. But anyway, like I said, G. Willow Wilson as the writer, Lee Andro Fernandez as the artist, Arif Prianto on colors, and Hassan Otsman Elhel on letters. I get that sometimes you need an issue, and we've talked about this in the past, where you're just moving characters around and positioning them for what comes next. And what comes next is the Bad Seeds crossover. It's coming real soon. That crosses over into the Batman titles. So I understand why this is a thing, but I want to see what's going on with Pamela Isley. That's why, I'm invested in this book, and we didn't get to see her this issue. So for that reason, it fell out of my top five. Still, weaker week, it still was able to come in at number 6 for me, but probably since the early issues, one of my least favorite of the series.
Yeah.
But again, that's just kind of the way it has to go sometimes due to needing to maneuver characters around.
Yeah.
So, did it make your top 5 bracket? I can't remember.
No. In fact, it was near the bottom. I put it in at number 9 for me out of 11.
Gotcha.
And
Okay. Anything to add?
yeah, I do. There is something very significant is explained in this issue, which I take issue with, but I think are going to probably make a lot of Harley and Ivy fans happy. Now, I think I'm an outlier in that I personally like Poison Ivy and Janet from HR as a couple. But Janet, we get a theory from Janet of HR explaining why apparently the only person that can reach Poison Ivy is Harley. Now, for those of us who know what's going on in Harley's own comic, to suggest that Harley Quinn in her present circumstances can help anybody is absurd. But I mean, that's just the way it is. And but regardless of that, let's assume Harley at her best. What's interesting here is the theory that J. Willow Wilson is going with is that Pamela loves Harley so much, but her love for Harley is so strong that it weakens her. She feels vulnerable with Harley. So one of the reasons why Poison Ivy got closer to Janet is that Janet's theory is that, well, Poison Ivy doesn't really love Janet, but that's why Janet is safe. She's safe to have an affair, a sexual affair with Janet as a partner because she's not invested in the relationship. She doesn't fear losing something she doesn't love. So she doesn't love Janet, so she won't fear losing Janet. But she fears losing Harley. Harley makes her vulnerable, and so it was easy for her to push Harley away because she hates feeling weak. That's kind of what she's going on here. And I find that interesting because one of the things that I've been asking myself is J. Willow Wilson, whether she intended this or not, I say again, she did such a good job getting me on board for a Janet and Poison Ivy coupling that I kind of want them to be together. I know that's not possible. I understand it's always going to be Pamela and Harley. I get it. But the way she explains it, and she's setting up here as best she can, and I think she made a compelling argument. As much as I don't like it, the argument I think is compelling enough because there has to be a way to get Harley back into the equation. Because Harley is the one, at least in Janet's mind, and I think we can all probably agree that this is clearly set up so for Harley to come back to save Poison Ivy from herself. Because Pamela has been on a downhill slope for quite a while after she killed Bog Venus and after her failure to be a successful negotiator between the green and the gray. And so that's all part of her arc. So, and it just goes to show you, 46. This is the 46th issue, and I too think this is arguably the weakest issue out of all the 46. It just goes to show you sometimes how big events can screw things up and rob a writer of a series of its momentum. And hopefully Bad Seeds will be good. We'll see. I have more trust in J. Willow Wilson. I think she's earned my trust and respect to this point, and so we'll see where it goes. But, it'll be interesting to see the role that Harley plays, and I don't know how you're going to reconcile and get Harley back into some degree of sanity, given that she's currently the Hark Knight, but that's another topic.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, this Bad Seeds thing could be G. Willow Wilson's idea. and I
Fair
don't
enough.
know this to be true, but typically what happens in these kind of events that um, are within a family of books, like this was the same thing. I do know for a fact this was the same thing with the Bat Cat War, or whatever that we got so
The
heated
Gotham
about.
War or whatever.
Yeah, the Gotham War.
Right.
Is that Chip Zdarsky is turning in his scripts for the books or whatever, and the editors go, "Oh, this is real. This is a really great idea. We should expand it beyond just the Batman book you're writing, and do some anthologies and tie it in with the Catwoman book and that kind of thing." And then they talked to Tinny Howard, who was writing Catwoman at the time, whatever, and it all comes together. It could have very well been the same thing here. But yeah, once it gets a little bigger and out of hand, that's not to say that G. Willow wouldn't have still scripted this just the same way. Hey, we need a we need a bridge to explain why they're going to try to get Harley Quinn and what have you, and we'll leave Pamela for kind of fallow, no pun intended, for an issue. So yeah, it is what it is. There are some gorgeous covers. Rocky's got them on the screen there. I'm partial to the main cover actually by Jessica Fong, but there's also the
Yeah.
Mahmoud Asrar swimsuit variant, and then a very moody Manny Vincent Carbonia variant that's behind me.
Yeah.
And I
I've only.
realized
Yeah.
I forgot
I've.
to mention the Absolute Green Lantern. All the variants are Joe Mullane, and they're all awesome.
Yeah.
Carlo Pagulian has a great one.
Yeah.
The one in the middle, that's Eric Canetti.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's a Mateus Bagara one as well. So
I never had time to put all of them up this week, so.
no, all good, all good, all
Yeah.
good. I forgot to, like I said, I always forget. Anyway, let's move on. Next book we're going to talk about is Batman number 11. Now, this was kind of the no-brainer for me, which I guess in a way is a little spoilery. Um, but before I get into the review properly, I do have to question something that I actually didn't realize and didn't notice until after I finished the issue and I was thinking about it. I think actually I was leaving, I think, to go to the gym or something. I was in my car and I was thinking about Batman 11 and how it kind of stood out for me from all the books I read this week. And then I was like, yeah, because of the event that happens at the end, which we'll talk about, it made me realize, wait, the majority of this issue for Batman himself, or a big chunk of it, takes place within the mansion, within Wayne Manor. Didn't they blow that up? Didn't they blow up Wayne Manor? I was like, what the heck's going? I need an
Yeah.
explanation.
Yeah, they
I
did.
need
Yeah.
an explanation.
Yeah.
It sure looked like they blew up Wayne Manor, and our buddy Steve was like, "Oh, maybe it was just another, estate that hideout, whatever." I'm like, why would they have another big giant estate as a hideout? Like, I know he has the little mini caves, around the city, whatever, with weapons caches and what have you. But I was like, what the? He blew it up. And then it made me think about how unnecessary, like the way it was set up with them blowing up all those um, stashes and whatever in
Mm-hmm.
order to get one over on the Tucos and pass along just the
Mm-hmm.
information that they wanted or whatever. And we saw that scene with Vandal Savage in the back of the limo where they break into one of the hard drives and it must be a trap. And we talked about it before, but now that's been left completely aside, which seems to be the pattern, the pacing that Matt Fraction is um, going to follow. Which I should give the credits before I get any further into my review. Written by Matt Fraction, Jorge Jimenez as artist, Tomeu Morey as colors, Clayton Cowell with Jorge Jimenez on letters, and then Jimenez and Tomeu Morey on colors. So in this issue, we come back to the Lady Ojo, Lady Death. They were going to originally call her the assassin. See her there on the screen. And the Minotaur Tauros is mentioned as well. The Uber banker that handles all the criminals' money and whatever. So I guess again that's just the way that Fraction's going to pace things. So maybe we'll flash back and we'll find out what happened with the manor or what have you. Maybe it was an illusion. I don't know why it needed to be an illusion or fake or whatever, because who was watching? I mean, Batman and Robin were up in the like hillside watching it blow up. It just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense for me. I don't understand it. But Yeah, you mentioned Lady Oho previously, Rocky. And
Yeah.
and again, like I get that it can be a little frustrating. I like that we're getting, there's an A plot, a B plot, a C plot, a D plot. I like that because it reminds me of the comics, kind of in the late Bronze Age that I grew up reading. But I felt like back then, and there were more pages back then. Panels tended to be smaller. Art wasn't quite as detailed. Um, and so you had more real estate. But I feel like each subplot was at least touched on. You at least got a panel or two. But that's just not the case here. So yeah, Vandal Savage, whatever's going on with him, has been left alone for a couple of issues. Um, yeah, what's going on with the manor? Why did they have to blow all that up? Why, other than to get Batgirl into Supermax? I feel like there was an easier way to do that.
Yeah.
You, it's a bad idea to have her in there in the first place. You and I have talked about that a couple times now as each issue. So it was such a terrible idea to put her in there in the first place. Why did you have to go through all of this in order to do it? Like, it's not that important. So anyway, I say all that to say I still absolutely love this issue for what it does do. I'm talking about everything that it didn't do, but what it does do is great. The action scenes, the fighting scenes between Batman and Lady Oho are awesome. I love when the Tuco officers show up and they tell Batman, hey, put your hands up, blah blah blah, and he's like, if I, put her down because he's got her in a chokehold. He's got Lady Oho in a chokehold. They're like, put
Yeah.
her down, hands up, whatever. And he's like, if I let her go, she's gonna take all you guys out. And you would think, I mean, even if you're a corrupt or a corrupt Tuco officer, or you've got fascist leanings, and that's how you ended up as a Tuco officer, or whatever. You gotta know. You live in Gotham. You gotta know that Batman's right. That she will take you guys out. So that was awesome as well. Seeing that the villains of Gotham are not going to take what the Minotaur's doing to them standing or sitting down is great as well. That being touched on. So there's a lot of good that this issue does do. Um, in a way, it's not so dissimilar from being a setup issue like we just talked about with Poison Ivy. The difference being that Batman does show up here, prominently. But more than anything, and also, we catch up with Dr. Zeller. She seems to be struggling a little bit as well, and we get the kind of the fallout of what happened when Bruce was on the not a date with her. We finally get a little context for that as well. But what really made this issue stand out for me, what would have put it at number one, probably no matter what, is that Batman needs a Pennyworth as his major domo, as his butler, whatever you want to call it. And it got kind of hinted at or talked about a few weeks ago that a Pennyworth was going to show back up. And there's all this speculation on who it might be, if it was, people are like, what first appearance? Because there's been various female Pennyworths. We knew it was a female. There's been various female Pennyworths through the years. But this is a new one. This is her first appearance. So speculator alert. Not that even Alfred Pennyworth first appearance of himself, the most important Pennyworth, is really worth a ton of money. But if you want to speculate, her name is Verity Pennyworth. She has showed up. Hopefully, she's gonna rein in the chaos that Bruce has been experiencing and what have you. And I could not be happier. This put a huge smile on my face. I love that it's a female. I still want Alfred back. I don't know that we'll ever get that, which seems so strange to me. I can't believe there's been so many times that we've had opportunities, soft resets and whatever, that he could have come back. I mean, most recently, a book we talked about last week, Superman 39, with Superboy Prime punching reality,
Yeah.
changing things. Maybe Alfred come back from that. But I sort of think it's probably going to be a while now that we have this new Verity Pennyworth show up, because you want her to establish and have a run, and so maybe a couple of years of her. And when Alfred does show back, it'll probably be that old cliche, the story, Rocky. This guy shows up. They could even have him de-aged, right? Back in those espionage spy
Yeah.
MI6 days or whatever. But he'll show up. He'll have amnesia. He'll have no idea who he is, and it'll be hey, what happened? How did he live? How did he come back? Blah blah blah. Batman will go on a globe trotting adventure kind of thing. I can already see it. And I'm perfectly fine with that if it brings Alfred back. But at least we have Alfred over in the pages of Absolute Batman, although he's quite a bit different. But anyway, yes, having Verity Pennyworth show up here, it's a Hulk 180. You know, she just shows up on the last page. Will people even consider this her first appearance, or will that be next issue? Um, I think it'll be this one. So again, speculator alert. But yeah, this just brought a smile to my face. It's so great that we're going to have a Pennyworth back in the mansion, and I can't wait to see. You kind of just wonder why it took so long. I mean, he's
Yeah.
been dead for a while now. In real world time, in comic time, who knows? Because that was back in the Tom King, run. Toward the end of the Tom King run, we had the James Tynion run and the Chip Zdarsky run, and now
Yeah.
we're on Matt Fraction, and a little bit of Jeff Loeb in there, but we won't talk about that. But anyway, yes, this brought a smile to my face. She looks great. I can't wait to learn more about her, and it's about time. So yeah, this
Yeah.
definitely felt good, and it was a no brainer for me to be in my top three. So, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on?
Yeah, I picture Verity Pennyworth. I picture her talking with a British accent for some reason. I'm assuming she's British. I don't know. I don't know what her history will be. Maybe she's American, but I picture her being British, or from the British Isles or some London or something. And who knows how many secrets Alfred shared with Verity, and so it's interesting. Is it? And she says it's her great uncle. So it's, I like it. It's a long time coming, and I think we had a long period of mourning over Alfred, and I actually respect Matt Fraction for saying, hey guys, let's enough mourning over Alfred. Let's have some fresh blood here, and I actually kind of agree with them. So it was it's a pleasant surprise. As for the rest of the issue itself, I agree with you. I don't have much to add. I mean, I agree with you. Matt Fraction dealt with so many plot points in this issue. Everything from showing the Penguin wanting to make a move against the Minotaur to a nice flashback of Son of the Demon, where Bruce is
Yeah,
explaining to Dr. Zeller his history with Talia and the origin of the birth of his son, and he sort of implies that, it was kind of not consensual, his relationship with Talia, which was the case back then somewhat. He was sort of drugged when Talia seduced him, and she got pregnant, and so he's so we get a little bit of everything, and there was a lot of substance in this issue. A lot of ground was covered, and it felt complete. It really felt like the sum was greater than the whole was greater than the sum of the parts, opposite of Green Lantern. So it felt very informative, and that I love Lady Ojo. There's something about I just love. She is like just absolutely kick-ass. Though what she does to that Wayne executive, slices him in
yeah,
half.
yeah,
Wow, she doesn't like. I mean, she loses the contract because she sort of blundered it in the first place, and now she's really pissed, and she certainly wants to take it out on Batman. And I love the fact that when Batman grabbed Lady Ojo by the neck, she seemed to be genuinely surprised, as if somehow, oh my God, this guy seems to be pretty good. I mean, she has to know that he's fairly competent. Does she know that he's Bruce Wayne? She must know. She can read body language. She must be able to put two and two together. But in any event, I love it. It's action packed, from beginning to end. Well paced, beautiful art, great coloring. Yeah, this was a no brainer for my top three.
yeah. Pretty easy. All right. Up next, we have. Oh wait, I have the covers pulled up. Let me talk about those before we move on. Couple of the one you have there, Dustin Wynn. I mean, I don't even need to look that up. It's easily his style. That's my favorite cover. But I think I ordered the Jorge Jimenez cover when I ordered, because I don't think that one was um, being shown yet. But the one with Lady Ojo is Jorge Molina. There's a Ryan Sook one that's really cool. There's a Virgin variant of the main cover that's foil by Jorge Jimenez, and then there's also a Chris Anka swimsuit edition with Bruce and some speedos, if that's your speed, no pun intended.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we've got Adventures of Superman, Book of L, Part 10, So Say the Dead. Written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Scott Godlewski, and Vicente Cifuentes are listed as artists. Colors by Lee Lowridge and Matt Herms, and letters by Dave Sharp. This is in my top 5 this week as well. It's really starting to come together. And I said it last issue when I talked about it. The thing that is not only is the story coming together in terms of tying up the whole epic story that Philip Kennedy Johnson has been telling at DC with Future State Superman and his War World and John Stewart War Journal. Um, the scope of it, the epicness of the House of L through time and their effect on the DC universe, that it feels appropriate is the best word that I can use. So I'm really, really enjoying this. The Scott Godlewski art is awesome. All that being said, this is not a new reader friendly book. You really have to have read all of what Philip Kennedy Johnson is going for. And even for me, this is another one that, man, I'd love to read this with annotations. Um, because again, there's just not enough real estate. We've talked a lot of times on this podcast or YouTube show about what a great world builder Philip Kennedy Johnson is. He's got so much in his head that there's just not room for all of it on the page. But if we had an annotated version that kind of explained things, that'd be really awesome. So I'm really enjoying this. Seeing Superman in the future battle for his adoptive children is awesome. The fight on Tamarian is great. Krillux as the Promethean King, as he's kind of evolved, is interesting. And seeing him go up against a Sun Eater at the end and kind of take out the Sun Eater relatively easily really shows just how powerful Krillux has become. So he feels like a worthy addition to the Superman mythos in terms of kind of an arch villain. But I almost feel like Philip has made him too powerful that he can't just show, like when he shows up, it's got to be an event like this, right? Like it's got to be its own miniseries because he's that powerful. It's kind of like Doomsday was for a while, where every time Doomsday showed up, it had to be a thing. He couldn't just show up for an issue or two because he was too big. And I kind of feel like that's where Krillix is a little bit. But yeah, really enjoyable. But again, not new reader friendly at all, which is kind of the only complaint I have about this. Um, but man, having all of Philip Kennedy Johnson's DC work in a big omnibus would be fantastic and make for a great read, I think. Anyway, uh, comes in at yeah, it's in my top three actually, so I won't give away my final ranking. But anything to add, Rocky?
No, this was dead last for me. I, I just couldn't get
Yeah, it
into
hasn't
it.
been resonating with you at
Yeah, it
all.
hasn't been resonating.
Anything.
I don't like the future of the House of L. It's just not a subject matter that I just could care less about. I picture the future of Superman and his legacy so completely diametrically different than this conception. I didn't like it in Future State. I didn't, and I really. For me, it takes away from his Superman story. Like to know that that Mongol saga is related to this. It just doesn't. It loses something in my view, and I have a hard time, just seeing this. Having said that, yeah, I've been reading it, and it's okay, I guess, but it's just not my cup of tea. This is probably my least favorite of his DC works. And I've loved a lot Philip Kennedy Johnson. I love his work. I love most of his DC work. I've just loved, but this is just not translating well for me. So
Yeah,
no
it is.
disrespect to him. It's
Yeah,
not resonating with me.
it is interesting. We know that anything that's in the future, in DC is a possible future, right? Like it's not written in stone. We don't know this is how exactly things are going to play out and whatever. So it does. I am being a little hypocritical. I was talking about some of the books are they don't matter because they're Elseworlds or whatever. So it's harder for me to care. Um, so it's I make an exception for this because I enjoy it so much, maybe, and because Superman is my favorite character. Um, but it is interesting because would this have been better served to be an Elseworlds or a Black Label? I kind of wonder about that.
Yeah.
But then does it have a stick? Because this isn't necessarily going to be what comes to pass for the future. But then you look at something which you love from Philip Kennedy Johnson, which is Wonder Woman Dead Earth, and that is Black Label. So they didn't have Elseworlds at the time it came out, and that works. So
That's not Philip Kennedy Johnson.
oh, it's not. I thought it was.
Wonder Woman Dead Earth. No, that's Dwayne Johnson. That's Dwayne. That's
You mean Daniel Warren Johnson?
that's Daniel Warren Johnson. Yeah.
What
Wonder
was the
Woman Dead
one
Earth.
that he did? Philip Kennedy did something. that was along those
He
lines.
did.
You're right, though.
He did. Yeah, and I didn't mind that. That was an Elseworld. That was an Elseworld's Tale. It
Yeah,
was the God. Was that a God Killer series?
yeah, God, yeah,
God
yeah,
Killer, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah. It was complete.
I
Yeah, it
like
was.
that, and he even
Yeah,
had
right.
sort of like
Yeah,
it was like he played it like a game, and he even had like cards at the, not cards, but he. Anyways, that was his. I think that was his first DC work. That put him on the
yeah,
map at
yeah. It
DC.
was. It was.
Yeah,
That's what I was thinking of, not the one.
yeah,
The
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, let's move on. Let's see. Up next, we have Batgirl number 21, written by Tate Bromball, art by Steven Segovia, Rain Barreto on colors, Tom Napolitano on letters. Um, People may be surprised to know that this made my top five. This book hasn't necessarily been resonating with me. Um, but again, kind of a weaker week for me
Yeah.
personally. And this
Yeah.
is a, normal book, just a regular issue set in main DC continuity. It is Cassandra Cain back in Gotham City. And even though there's some remnants in terms of supporting cast that have been here all along, followed her on her globetrotting journey or whatever. This is her exploring her past, and it feels very, grounded in Gotham City. Sokovia art is fantastic. It's not the regular series artist Takayashi, but this art is similar enough. Segovia seems to have really become more influenced by manga in recent years, and that's showing in the style, so it suits it as well. And so, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm not going to say more because I know it's in Rocky's top five as well, and this is a book he has been championing throughout. So
Yeah.
this is in your top five as well, Rocky. So give us
Yeah.
your thoughts.
Well, it came in at number 5 for me, and in any other week, this may not have made my top 5, but I've been enjoying it. What I like about Batgirl is I feel that Tate Brombell has been having as much fun with Batgirl as Mark Waid has been having fun with World's Finest. He's not afraid to explore the world, and he's not afraid to add to the mythology and add to the backstory and the history of Cassandra Cain, and he continues to do so here. Now, we don't know how much of it is actually true, because we got this Dr. Forget-Me-Not, who might be planting memories in Cassandra Cain. And if he is, well, it's interesting, because if it is true, the images that he's implanting, there's this girl that Cassandra Cain may have killed when she was younger. Cassandra Cain, of course, raised as a young girl to be an assassin. Her father, David Cain, her mother, Lady Shiva. She was pretty much raised to be an assassin. She probably, arguably, she killed more people as a child than she has as an adult. Let that sink in for a bit. And so exactly, they've come across this corpse of a young child that appears to be the corpse of Victoria, who it's revealed ultimately at the end here through all this imagery and Cassandra having this recollection that it might be the corpse of a young child that Cassandra herself killed when she was younger. Now, what's the agenda here of Dr. Forget-Me-Not? What's his ultimate agenda in manipulating Cassandra Cain's memories like this, either implanting memories or reminding her of something, or is it all a bunch of BS? We don't know. He's the villain, so that's part of what I enjoy about this issue, because I have a lot of questions. But I'm supposed to have a lot of questions because this poses and sort of teasing us with, sort of like, might be a little tropey. It's just like we only thought we know Cassandra Cain's past, but there's more to it. And that's what I kind of like here. And now Steven Segovia's art, I really like it. Does a really good job. He does a good job with his fight scenes. They're visceral, action-packed. You can feel the punches, and I really like it. Now, in terms of substance, not necessarily a lot happened. A lot of this has just sort of taken place in Cassandra Cain's head, but there is so much there, and it felt like I felt part of the story. I enjoyed it. It put a smile on my face reading it, and where this is going to end up, I don't know. We got Jade Tagger. He showed up, and we got all Batgirl. I love that Tate is incorporating all of Batgirl has her own family, and I like that it's not the Batman family. It's her own. It's literally, genuinely a Batgirl family, and I like that he's doing a really good job focusing on Batgirl's supporting cast and her characters, and he continues to do that here. So I quite enjoyed it. So. Yeah.
Only one variant. Only one variant cover. Do you happen to have it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's right in the
There we
middle
go.
there. Yeah. I love
Yeah,
it. I love that variant cover.
yeah. I don't know if I'm saying this right. It's Kyuyong, and then last name Eom.
Yeah.
So
Eom.
Caillou Yong Eom.
Yeah. Eom. Yeah.
That's a,
Eom
yeah.
cover. Yeah.
But yeah, that is. I think what I love that it's basically three colors. They really play off each other well. You know, the
Yeah.
black of
Yeah.
Cassandra Cain, the white with the forget me not right there, and then obviously that yellow
Yeah.
background.
Yellow. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful cover. So, all right, let's move on. I don't have much to say about this next one. It's 100 Bullets, the U.S. of Anger. This is another in the relaunch of Vertigo. It is 100 Bullets, which is a beloved series from writer Brian Azzarello. Eduardo Riso, his collaborator and artist on that series, returns as well. This is in black and white. Clem Robbins is the letterer. I'm pretty sure that Azzarello talked about loving the fact that this was going to be in black and white and mentioning that because the original 100 Bullets is not in black and white, right, Rock? I've never
That's
read it.
correct. It's not in black
Yeah,
and white. Yeah.
yeah, and I remember at New York Comic Con when Vertigo was announced, or not when it was announced the year before at Comic Con, but then just this, in 2024 New York Comic Con was announced it was coming back. Then 2025 they announced a lot of these first series launches, and Azzarello saying he wished they had done the first series in black and white because he feels like it suits Eduardo Riso's art. Now the art here is very very strong. The story itself jumps around and very much leans into the whole, yeah, things aren't great in the world, society, feeling that this like epitomizes it maybe more than anything. And any of the books, this is the most depressing and almost nihilistic and negative. So maybe that's why it came in last for me. But I also, again, I've never read the first 100 Bullets, so I don't necessarily have any
Yeah.
nostalgia for it or anything like that. So
Yeah.
that's factoring in as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, I've read I got there's 5 hardcovers. I've got all the hardcovers of 100 Bullets. I love 100 Bullets.
Did you buy the singles as well?
No, I did not. No, I just
Oh,
bought it.
gotcha.
I got into it buying the hardcovers after the fact, and I really enjoyed it. And to be honest, this character who's in the 100 Bullets, I just can't remember him all that much, to be honest. And this is like his second or third series he's been in, just himself. And honestly, I don't. When I read this, I'm still trying to get a handle as to exactly what's going on. It's obviously there's a lot of anger. There's some social commentary. Brian Azzarello's pretty good at that. In fact, it very much is, I think, is reflective of the current anger you see a lot in the YouTube community, because it looks like it has like podcasters on there commenting on the poor state of America, and then you got like gang violence, and you got this guy in the middle of it, and I'm not really sure.
Lono.
What's that?
Lono is
Yeah,
his name.
Lono. Yeah, and so I'm not really, there's like violence inflicted against cops and gang members, and I'm actually buying the physical copy of this. So, and to be honest, I don't have my physical copy yet of this because we reviewed these a little earlier, but I'm looking forward to it because it is black and white. And honestly, I'm not normally someone who, I'm not going to lie and say I love black and white. It's something that I usually got to get accustomed to. But I'll read this, and I'm not going to bag and board it for a while. So I think I'll go back and I know I'll end up reading the first 2 or 3 issues probably all together all at once. So maybe the story will flow a little better. This came in at number 7 for me because I kind of liked it, and I kind of like the fact that it's reflective. It is kind of a depressing week in a way, and the state of America and the world is, it's really easy for all of us to go down the rabbit hole and let ourselves get angry at the world and ourselves and blah, blah, blah. And so it's not something I don't necessarily want to fully embrace a story like this, but to the extent that it's catharsis, yeah, maybe that's where I'll enjoy it a little bit more. But it came in at number 7 because probably in large part because I do really love 100 Bullets, and it's probably benefiting from that. So
Yeah, I have a fit like just again because my ignorance on about 100 Bullets. I mean, I know the basic story about the weapon that gets passed around or whatever,
yeah,
but because my initial thought was, well, I wanted to ask you, well, is this Alono guy a good guy or a bad guy? But I feel like 100 Bullets, and please correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
or kind of
It's,
give me your thought on it,
it's
that it's not really a series with necessarily good guys and bad guys. It's a
Oh
little
yeah, it
more
has everything.
gray.
It's got everybody. The gun is really, in a way, it's not really. It's a story about a gun, but it's not really a story about a gun. You got different types of characters: good, bad, anti-hero, the whole nine yards. And this guy is just. I would say this guy was more of an anti-hero most of the time, but
Yeah, I can
but
see that.
he also did some pretty bad things.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's my point, right? Like living in the gray area. It
Yeah,
seems to be some like when Vertigo. This is for mature readers. It's Brian Azzarello getting a chance to kind of cut loose, and kind of his commentary on how things are. So, uh, I think the main cover is actually the best one. There's a few others. There's an Eduardo Riso variant. There's a Jock variant. And there's a Cliff Chang variant. Cliff obviously being the collaborator with Brian on the New 52 Wonder Woman, so they worked together before. But I think that the one that you're showing, the main cover, is the one that really kind of hits, especially with his different colored eyes, one red, one blue.
yeah, yeah.
All right, up next, Deadman #2. Now I had a physical reaction to my dislike of the first issue. I really, really disliked it. I didn't. This I thought was better. It felt a little more true to Deadman's characterization, although it still feels a little bit off. And when Plastic Man shows up, I just love Plastic Man, and I thought when I read this issue, I was like, I wish that instead of doing Deadman, that W. Maxwell Prince was writing a Plastic Man series, because I think he nailed Plastic Man's characterization, especially when he talks about
Yeah,
being a lamp for 2 weeks when he's like that
yeah,
brought a smile to my face, and I really enjoyed it. So anyway, W.
yeah.
Maxwell Prince is the writer. Martin Morazzo is the artist. He's fantastic as always. Chris O'Halloran on colors, and then good old Neon does the letters. So yes, I did enjoy this a lot more than the first issue, but it still didn't come into my top five. It came in at number 9 for me. So that's all I have to say about it. Anything you want to add, Rocky?
Yeah, it came in at number 8 for me. I thought it was. I know that W. Maxwell Prince has got. I know he's got something to say about the dead, because somebody is interfering with the transition of souls in the afterlife. When you die and your soul gets transitions into the hereafter. The main villain, I don't quite got a handle on the main villain yet, so I don't really quite understand that. But I like the fact that W. Maxwell Prince has his own visions and his own interpretation of various DC heroes. In particular, even Batman. I love there's a great scene where Deadman tries to, because Deadman can take over people's bodies, the living, and when he tries to take over Batman, I love the scene where he encounters Batman's psychological defenses. So, because Deadman literally is unsuccessful in taking over Batman's body, because I think it's the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, even though it doesn't go by name,
Yeah.
is he confronts, but it's
No,
not
he
actually.
does. I mean,
Does he
they don't
mention the
say it's
name?
his name, but when he yells out when he's punching him, one punch he says Zer, and the next one he
Oh,
says the knee, and
right.
then the
Okay.
last one. Yeah, so
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
great as well.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that he clearly knows his history. He knows these characters, but at the same time, I will say that the transitions and the art sometimes are kind of a little wonky. This is definitely an acquired taste. It's very stylistic. And isn't it interesting, the biases that we have? This really rammed home for me, this issue. I'm so biased having a certain iteration or visual representation of DC superheroes in my head. And yet I love W. Maxwell Prince's in his own, when he does his own independent stuff. And yet when he does DC, I think perhaps I'm a little bit unfairly harsh on his artistic style, and I shouldn't be. I should be a little bit more open-minded to it. So I strove to do that, and I enjoyed the story more when I did that. I really like how when Plastic Man died, it showed another aspect of the heroism as Deadman, as Plastic Man. Was when Bloom, or the character that becomes Bloom, I guess, or is a version of Bloom, kills Plastic Man, he thought he had killed Elongated Man. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
and uh, and then when and then so Plastic Man, Deadman's trying to save Plastic Man, but he's also trying to help the police officer who's been killed. He's trying to help his soul make that transition into the afterlife. I thought that was pretty cool too. Like, what you don't think of a hero. Of course, he's Deadman. What's a heroic thing for Deadman to do? Help with the people who've been killed, make sure they have a smooth transition to the afterlife. I thought that was interesting. I never really thought of it like that before, in terms of, our adventure on this plane of existence. It might end when we die, but there's still another one afterwards. And I like that W. Maxwell Prince is sort of playing with that, and the villain is interfering with that. And I'm not going to pretend to understand fully exactly what's going on, but I'm kind of cautiously optimistic so far. I've enjoyed the ride more this issue than I did the first.
Yeah, I mean, you're right when it comes to kind of the artistic, versions, and we should be more open minded. And I should have been more open minded with the first one, because there's a little part of me that thinks I might buy this in collected edition, mostly because I remember how amazing the variant cover, a lot of the variant covers were for the first issue.
Mhm.
And the second issue, if possible, somehow has even better variant. Like every
Yeah,
variant is just like that one right
yeah,
there. Oh my, those are like bodies. Like
it's
how
incredible.
creepy is that? Yeah, absolutely incredible. That's an artist by the name of Alex Ekman Lawn. And then the one behind me is a Mark Spears variant. Now, Mark Spears, he had his. I'm not the biggest fan of Mark Spears, but I do really enjoy this piece of art. He had his first Marvel cover last week on a Captain America Magic the Gathering variant, which went crazy.
Yeah,
Um, the Deadman that you kind of see creeping, it's not the whole cover. Rocky just kind of has a cutout of it there. That's from the Lucio Perillo variant, which is awesome. And then you can kind of see, yeah, that one right there. Steven Subic, that one is incredible as well. Like every one of these covers is a banger.
yeah. We should mention that's a glow in the dark one, the black and
Yeah,
white one. It's a
yeah,
glow in the dark. Yeah.
yeah. It's incredible, and even the main cover, by Martin Morazzo, definitely leans into this version. And what's interesting is so often, and one of the things I love about Deadman is his visual, right? And maybe that's one of the things that sort of unconsciously or subconsciously was so off-putting for me about the first issue, excuse me, is that he's so kind of lean and thin, and he does look like a janitor in his red jumpsuit, like, right?
Yeah.
Because the regular Deadman, as you can see in a lot of, especially the Mark Spears one, that looks more like the traditional Deadman. He's muscular, and he is that kind of super heroic body type, as opposed to, oh, I'm just a janitor, I'm this skinny tall guy with a broom, what have you. So it is kind of, yeah, it is there. Yeah, there's the full Perio cover. So yeah, if I get confirmation, if the covers continue this way and I get confirmation that all the covers are collected in the collected edition, I might buy the collected edition just to have all the covers
Yeah.
in one spot. We'll see. And won't that be karmic justice for me poo-pooing the first issue so harshly?
Yeah.
So anyway, um, let's move on. Supergirl Survive, issue 2, Elseworlds book written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan. Art and cover by Rod Reese, letters by Lucas Gattoni, and Rod does his own coloring, as he often does. I thought when I first opened this up and started reading it, or opened the digital file and started reading it, that I was like, wait, did I miss an issue? Because we left off on a cliffhanger, and then we start here and we're in a completely different spot in the story. Uh, but no, that's not the case. We jump forward a little bit, and then we go back and we find out how Supergirl got where she is. Um, this does seem to jump around a little bit. It does seem like this is going to end up being not what I expected it to be. It's going to be more of a galaxy hopping journey for Supergirl and her baby cousin Kal-El. Not really my particular cup of tea. This one, as you can maybe tell by the cover behind Rocky, has the Lobo gang. So Lobo's not the only survivor of Zarnia, but he has a few others that he's used to form a bounty hunter gang, which I suppose is an interesting enough concept. But again, I'm not the biggest fan of Lobo, although he was one of the best things about the Supergirl movie. And I don't know, just a quick aside, I don't know if everybody heard, but Jason Momoa is totally on board for a Lobo solo movie. but only if it's rated R. He won't do. He said, "I will not do a Lobo movie if it's not, or if it's rated PG or PG-13." Which, if it's a Lobo movie, it has to be rated R, right? So,
Yeah.
but anyway, getting back to this, it came in at number 9 for me. I think that these writers, Parker and Sheridan, are really talented. They've collaborated on other things before. Um, their Darling's book over at Image has been very well received. This is their first foray, as far as I know, into a monthly at DC. And yeah, they don't really have to worry about continuity or anything like that, but there doesn't seem to be anything for me that's memorable about this 2 issues in. So, uh,
Interesting.
anyway, I think it was in your top 5, Rocky. So
It,
give
it
us your.
was, and it's interesting. I guess for me,
Oh, wait. What? Sorry, before you start, one
sorry.
more thing.
Yeah.
I will say that Rod Reese is an underrated artist. His art in this is fantastic, as his art usually is.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for me, one of the things that I thought Ethan S. Parker did here is that I didn't. I thought he did. He understood the assignment more so than Superman, Father of Tomorrow, with Kenny. With all due respect to Kenny Porter, Ethan S. Parker here has done a just
And
a
Griffin
phenomenal.
Sheridan.
And Griffin Sheridan, okay, I apologize. Both of them, I love their imagination here. I love the fact that, first of all, I wish that the movie Supergirl had Green Lanterns like this issue does. This
Yeah.
issue has some doom and gloom in it, but it also has some brightness and colors and and fantastic worlds and the universe, the galaxy is aware that Krypton is destroyed, and here is Kara trying to bring her cousin Cal to Earth to escape and to find that safe world. And then unfortunately she stumbles upon a Lobo character, and they become aware that they're the last 2 surviving Kryptonians, and so there's a high value placed on their heads. Meanwhile, Lobo was wanted by the Green Lantern Corps, but the Green Lantern Corps in this particular Elseworlds universe, it's actually the core consists of all the elements of the emotional spectrum, and so we get a very vibrant, eclectic array of literally not of a Sinestro Corps, an Orange Corps, Green Lantern, Violets, Red Lanterns. We get a little bit of everything, and I thought it was just brilliantly done, and plus it has a Western feel to it as well, where they end up on this planet, and Kara is she's a little bit sloppy with her powers. She's just getting accustomed to them, but she utilizes them to great effect. She's very powerful in her own right. The third act of this particular issue, with the battle with Lobo and all the lanterns present, as well as Kara coming into her own with her powers, protecting Cal, and the death of one of the Hope lanterns, ultimately, with the revelation that upon their death, you think that maybe Kara's dead and Kal-El as well. And that final page reveal, I thought was awesome. I did not expect that at all. Who would have thought, right? All of a sudden, Kara's saved and she's got a lantern of hope. Well, of course. I mean, it just makes sense. Now, that might sound a little bit tropey because the House of El, Kara, Cal, I mean, yeah, they're about hope, and then she ends up with the Ring of Hope. Maybe that's a little bit too close to the chest, maybe tropey. I didn't find it predictable. I thought it was awesome. I really liked it. And I love that final page. I like the look on young Kal-El's face. And anyways, it put a smile on my face. There's a lot of doom and gloom comic books this week. This one ended, even though it arguably has a doom kind of subplot, it's a darker tale. I just loved this final page reveal, and I really enjoyed this. This was in my top 3. This one I just really enjoyed. Wow. Maybe it's because I wish the Supergirl movie would have had. I wish I'd have gotten some of the feels that I got from reading this, but I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, and maybe part of it for me is the fact that this version of Saint Walker gets killed. Like, Saint Walker is one of my favorite
Right.
Lantern characters outside of Green. Outside of Green Lanterns, he's my favorite Lantern character.
Yeah.
And so seeing him get killed, whatever. But at the same time, it's like he based on the final page and her becoming the next Lantern of Hope, he kind of had to die. Unfortunately for him. So yeah. All right. Up next, we have Absolute Martian Manhunter, issue number 12 from writer Dennis Camp, art by Javier Rodriguez, letters by Hassan Otsman Elhel. Obviously, Rodriguez doing the art himself. I imagine a lot of people are going to love this. I didn't. It came in at number 10 for me. I will give credit where credit's due, even though it's been kind of on the darker side of things. Um, it does have some redemption in a lot of ways. Um, for John Jones, I guess you'd say. It's not all doom and gloom. So for that reason, um, I did enjoy it, but I think overall, kind of for a lot of the same reasons that I'm struggling with Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern, is why this doesn't. I just feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. So yeah, came in at 10 for me. What about you?
Well, this was in my top this was in my top three. Now, let me tell you something. This was in my top three for very personal reasons, because normally this probably would have been near the bottom. But I only put this because the last half of this book had an impact on me emotionally, because even though I still have my same constructive criticisms about me not fully understanding what Dennis Camp's trying to say, or the artist Rodriguez with all the color work, and in terms of the color work, trying to tell the story. Most of it, I think, is probably lost on me, but there's at least the last half of this book focuses on, it explains John Jones' relationship with his son, and how it sort of explained, it finally near the end, we got some clarity of storytelling without all this rainbow of colors, which for me takes me out of the story. And we got an explanation that, he's trying to understand his son as his marriage is. One of the reasons why John Jones's marriage deteriorates is that, he's trying to understand his son. He's got stress from work. He's trying to he doesn't want his relationship to collapse with his wife, and his struggle to his son. Tyler, his son, I got the impression that he's almost like maybe on the spectrum for autism. I got an 11-year-old daughter, Audrey. She's on the spectrum. And I could relate to John Jones here. There are moments in this issue where it really hurt. It really tugged on my heart, because I have struggled to understand my daughter on the spectrum, to the point where it's easy for me to get emotional about it. And the way that Dennis Camp describes John's frustrations in wanting to understand his son, wanting to understand Tyler, but he's silent and he's not talking, and he can't reach him, and times that he would get angry, and it's not his son's fault, just like it's not my daughter's fault. And really the fault at the end of the day lies with myself for not having the patience and the understanding. And I think what I appreciated for the first time was what I think maybe Dennis Camp was trying to say was the benefit that John Jones has in having this being taken over by the Martian Manhunter is that he began to see how other people think. He began to perhaps see the world through different eyes, and perhaps some idea of how his son Tyler sees the world. I would love to know how my daughter sees the world. I'm not going to say that I completely comprehend it, but the desire that I have to know, to see the world through her eyes, it's so powerful within me. And all parents of kids on the spectrum have that. And that really hit home for me. And that prompted me to elevate this all the way into my top 5. Straight up.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and it was very powerful for me. And I'm here. I'm telling you that I don't understand exactly what happened throughout this entire series, but I can tell you that we talked to use the same analogy we've been using that you started with at the beginning of this podcast is the parts being greater than the sum. The parts that dealt with that were greater than the entire series for me, and it really hit home for me. And I really appreciated that, and I love the fact that at the end here he gives up his job and he focuses on his wife and his son, and they go out and that's the happy ending. And I love the final page. I love it. It says, "Life finds a way. City of second chances. Wish me luck." Because it's never too late to try to connect with someone, especially if it's one of your children. and it's a family that you love. And so for that reason, as much as this series frustrated me, man, for me it nailed the ending. But
Yeah, I when I was reading this, again, it never comes out and says that Tyler has autism or whatever, but it
yeah,
certainly seemed that way.
yeah.
I
Well,
read it.
that's what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
read out of it, but I
yeah,
might be wrong.
I read it that way as well. So again, it makes a lot of sense and so yeah, I immediately I thought of Audrey, I thought of you, and I wondered if you might kind of have that reaction. So yeah, it's good. I mean, it's good. It's good that it resonated with you that way. So uh, yeah, there are some banger covers for it though. The
Yeah.
one that you have there in the middle, Sebastian Fumara. There's a Werther Deladerek variant that's awesome. There's an Andrew Robinson variant that's awesome, and I think even the main cover is really really great. So yeah, I think overall, um, I would say that this has been a successful series.
Yeah. Well, the sales have been
And
very well, right? The
yeah,
sales have
yeah,
been
yeah,
incredible. So
yeah, exactly. So. All right, up next, we have JSA number 21, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Diego Orlatugi, colors by Luis Guerrero, letters by Steve Wands. This this comes in my top three, but again, only because of the structure of the week. And this is a normal comic that I could understand, and I don't have the greatest um, knowledge of the Justice Society because I haven't read that Jeff Johns run, which really fleshed out a lot of it in a lot of ways. Um, but yeah, I thought it was really good. I really really love the art by Orlatugi. I liked seeing the um, the Spectre himself jump around and see. Hey, here's the Spectre version of Obsidian. Here's the Spectre version of Jade. Here's the Spectre version of Wildcat. And
yeah.
when they said Wildcat at first, I thought maybe the Spectre was resurrecting Ted Grant. And I was like, oh, that's an idea, right? Bring Ted Grant back and have him be the Spectre. Like that why wouldn't that work? I think that would be fantastic. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it still has a lot of the same issues that we've had throughout with this JSA run. A little bit feeling repetitive from previous JSA runs and covering ground that's been covered before. Um, some minor pacing issues and what have you, but did I enjoy it? Yes. Was it a fun issue? Yes. Was it great seeing Diego Orlatuga design different versions of the Spectre as he bonded with different JSA members? Yes. So yeah, this might even have crept in. I mean, it's impossible to say, but this might have crept into my top 5 in a regular week as well.
Yeah.
Just depending on what else might have been there. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. What about you,
Yeah.
Rocky?
Well, it came in at number 6 for me, and I got to tell you, we got the origin of the Spectre here, which I don't know, why didn't we get this JSA story like a year ago, when Spectre fought Darkseid back? What was that, a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
With that DC issue, the DC All In issue. This is when we should have got that story. Why did we get JSA year 1 and the first arc? And what a waste. This is a much more interesting issue, and I love the fact that we get the origin of the Spectre. It's been revitalized a little bit. He fought in the armies of Lucifer against the armies of heaven. Heaven obviously won. God basically took Spectre. He was whatever his name was, Azat or whatever the hell his name was.
Astar, I think.
Astar, and basically made him basically an agent of vengeance for heaven. And then he's got different hosts, and one of them, of course, down to the modern age is Jim Corrigan. And I love the fact that what Jeff Lemire is adding an additional element to it, because while Spectre is jumping from body to body of various members of the JSA, like you said, ending up with Wildcat, but ultimately likely leaving Wildcat, at some point, what's going to happen? Because we have Metron showing up and talking about that the Spectre is part of a cycle, and that the end is the beginning and the beginning is the end, et cetera, et cetera. And that the secret to what's going on here, we don't just, it's not just important to know the Spectre's beginnings, but we have to know Jim Corrigan's origin as well. Now, the thing is, why does it matter what Jim Corrigan's origins are? Because he's a non-powered person. He's just an ordinary person. What's so special about Jim Corrigan? He was just sort of a random police detective, became a host. So Jeff Lemire obviously has plans for Jim Corrigan, because it's what makes the Spectre special apparently isn't just the Spectre himself, that spirit of vengeance, but also there's something about Jim Corrigan that we don't know. And just like Jeff Lemire sort of revitalizing Firestorm, and sort of building on that, I think we're going to get a revitalization of the Spectre, and in particular, a different way of looking at Jim Corrigan, which I'm actually pretty excited for. I wish this entire series would have started off with this story arc, because it would have pulled me in much sooner. But no, I like this issue. It was good. Didn't make my top 5, but it was just on the edge of it.
Yeah, I think the highest rated you've had this series
Yeah.
ever. Um,
Yeah.
do you think, two questions. Do you think that the Spectre will end up bonding with Jim Corrigan again? And if you could pick any character in the DCU to have the Spectre end up with, who would it be?
Oh man, that's actually a tough one. I actually like. I actually, I've always thought Jim Corrigan was kind of boring as a character. That's why the fact that that Jeff Lemire wants to prop up maybe Jim Corrigan leads me to believe that Spectre is returning to Jim Corrigan. I never thought Jim Corrigan was interesting enough. In fact, I thought Jim Corrigan was the most interesting when he was in the pages of Gotham Central. I thought he was much more interesting then, and then it ended up going to Crispin Allen, became the Spectre, right? Which was kind of interesting. They did some misdirection there. But to answer your question, I don't have. That's a tough question in terms of which DC character I would want to be the Spectre. Man, which one embodies vengeance? Boy, that's a tough one.
I mean, you think Ted Grant would be would be
Well,
interesting?
I guess he would, but it's funny. Ted Grant is, well, it depends on what you view as the Spectre, because like Ted Grant's he's so righteous and he's
Yeah.
tough, but do you want somebody who's always been angry in life? Like I thought Hal Jordan was an interesting choice because he dealt with fear and anger, and he knows what it's like to give in to fear. So Hal Jordan being Parallax, becoming Spectre, I thought that just made a lot of sense. Yolanda, who's Wildcat, I think she would be a good one. I
She's
guess
got anger, yeah.
she's got anger issues. Even Jessica Cruz has got some fear, and I think she's got some unrepressed anger. I mean, so there's that. Even Sinestro. I mean, Sinestro would be an interesting Spectre.
Oh, yeah.
If you
I
want
didn't
to
think
go
about it.
there.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, isn't it interesting that when I think of the Spectre, and maybe you're in the same boat, I think of fear. I think of fear and anger and vengeance. And because that's really what he is, he represents the spirit of vengeance. But as Jeff Lemire rightly points out at the beginning of this issue in the narration, the Spectre did have a Judeo-Christian origin, but there's also the idea of a spirit of vengeance is prevalent in all major religions, not just Judeo-Christianity, but all of them. And so it's hard to say, but it's an interesting question.
I kind of feel the same way. I always felt like Spectre, when it was Jim Corrigan, as originally was Spectre was the character and Jim Corrigan was more of an afterthought. And yeah, there's not much to him, and that's why it always just felt like the personality that you were getting was the personality of the Spectre, as opposed to him, the Spectre using other hosts where it was more their personality coming through, because we knew them as characters first, right? And I don't necessarily think of fear with the Spectre. I think of vengeance, but I think of righteous vengeance. And when I think of Ted Grant, I think of he's a very righteous character as well, but he's not a vengeful character. For being as tough of a fighter as he is, and he'll always have your back and his stand-up guy. He never came across to me as an angry guy. He came across as a little more kind of mellow in a way, as mellow as you can be, to be the hero that he was. So yeah.
I would have
It's
thought
interesting because I want Ted Grant back, and it's a way to bring him back. So that's kind of why it would be interesting. But I kind of think it's just going to end up being Jim Corrigan again,
Yeah.
which is fine. Maybe, like you said, Lemire will flesh out Corrigan as a character more and make the Spectre overall a little more interesting. Well, I
What
guess
about
we'll have
Adrian
to wait and see.
Chase, resurrecting Adrian Chase,
Oh
who took his
man,
own
now you're
life?
talking. Now you're. I didn't think about that. He's one of my favorite. The original Vigilante is my favorite
Yeah,
characters of all time.
yeah,
Yeah,
takes his
I
own
changed my
life.
answer. I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Ted. I love you, but you don't hold a candle to Adrian Chase, one of my all-time favorite characters. That would be really interesting,
yeah,
especially because of the way Adrian Chase died.
yeah,
And
taking his own
that's a
life. Yeah,
taking his own life, and that
yeah.
in judo Christianity, and especially in
Is it?
Catholicism,
Is it?
that is like one of
It's a
the
mortal
worst sins
sin.
that
It's
you
a
could
mortal sin.
commit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, that dichotomy would be really really interesting.
yeah.
Would almost be like the Spectre wanting to like have vengeance on its own host. Really interesting.
Hmm.
All right, we're moving on, but I will shout out that variant cover that you had in the middle there. It looks very like pulpy, very 1940s, movie matinee serial.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's by. Let me give the proper credit. I had it in front of me. Sorry, uh, Matt Taylor. Matt Taylor's the artist on that. So, all right. Up next, we have Batman Green Arrow: The Question, book 4 by Gabriel Hardman. Hardman does everything except the colors, which are by Romulo Fajardo Jr. Maybe that's why there's no credits page in this digital issue. This is, like I said, book 4. I didn't remember there being 3 previous issues. I kind of feel like there hasn't been that much to this story. I feel like the strength of this story has been the very visceral, textured, gritty art of Gabriel Hardman, but I also don't feel like this has been really that memorable. We even get a identity reveal. Batman reveals himself to be Bruce Wayne to the world in this, and I think it's supposed to land, and it completely did not land with me. It was a total flyby. So ultimately, this is not going to be a series that I really remember. It's great seeing the version of Vic Sage question. I love Renee Montoya's question, but I have a soft spot in my heart for Vic Sage as well. I wonder. I understand why Green Arrow's in this. In a way, he's a little bit of our POV character, having had money and then lost it. He doesn't have Queen Industries anymore, or what have you. And the big bad in this is a billionaire as well. And so it's the question as sort of the outsider journalist, what have you. And then these 3 billionaires, Rotha, the villain, and Bruce Wayne and Ollie Queen. So I get that. But I wonder if this wouldn't have been better served to maybe just be Batman and the Question. Because it feels like these characters in this version, this Elseworlds version of these characters, they don't get enough time on the screen. And maybe because just the structure of the story, there's so much action here, and it is fast paced. I don't grow to ever have any attachment to these versions of these characters, even though they're familiar characters. They are different versions of the characters, and I don't really feel like I know them well enough. And I think that's why things like this version of Bruce Wayne revealing himself to be Batman don't land for me. So yeah, ultimately, not one of my favorites. It came in for me at number 8. What are your thoughts on it, Rocky?
Yeah, in fairness, this is another example of me probably likely being very unfair. This is a good story. This is just, but I have this internal bias that this doesn't feel like Batman to me. I just don't
Yeah,
feel like Batman. Bruce Wayne would never, in these circumstances, reveal himself because he feels guilty and he wants to separate himself from other billionaires. And I don't want to hide behind my billions, and I don't want to hide behind. I believe in fighting for what's right too. This is something Green Arrow would do. I could understand Green Arrow revealing his identity, being a social justice warrior. But Batman, I have a hard time with that. But it does have more impact because it's Batman. I'll give it that. It definitely shocked me. Never saw it coming. Never saw it coming. And it definitely made it feel very much like an Elseworlds, which it basically is. Although, interestingly enough, it has a black label. It's marketed
yeah,
as black label, not as Elseworlds. But it has it felt black label up until the very end here, up until the end when Bruce Wayne or Batman revealed his secret identity. I actually thought that this was just black label. It only became Elseworlds to me with this revelation of the secret identity. But in any event, I thought it was good. Art's really great. Graybill Hardman, I love his type of art. He's definitely he's the type of person. I mean, put him on a new Green Arrow series or Question, or put him on and heck, have him if you not. Albuquerque's doing a great job in Absolute Green Arrow, but have him be the occasional guest artist on Absolute Green Arrow, because I think he would be pretty damn good on that too. But yeah, I didn't mind this. It was good. It was good. Definitely going to read better as a trade, though. There was delays. Another example of delays, sort of like killing the momentum of a series. This ending would have more impact, but for the delays on this.
Yeah, agreed. All right, well, that does it, everybody, for the books we're going to talk about in detail. There are a few other single issues out this week, both facsimiles and some reprints. So we've got some reprints of, or some facsimile editions of the Avengers versus, or Avengers slash JLA, the second issue. And it's the usual thing that you have. It's the cover that came out originally, and also a foil version of that cover. And then there's a variant, and then there's a blank sketch cover. We also have a facsimile of Batman 127 that's out this week. We've got DC Sonic the Hedgehog, the Metal Legion crossover. Issue 3 is out. Crypto, the last. Sorry, that's on digital. Swamp Thing 1989 #1 is getting a second printing foil version foil version variant as well. So that's the reprints. And then as far as collected editions, a bit of a smaller week for collected editions this week also. We've got Batman and Robin Volume 3, The Quiet Man trade paperback. So that collects the final story from Philip Kennedy Johnson on the Batman and Robin
Excellent
series.
series.
And it concluded that run. Probably my favorite thing Philip Kennedy Johnson's done at DC. It was so great.
Really good.
The Get Hero is getting a complete collection trade paperback from DC. It's 344 pages for $30. That's the Joel Rose, Anthony Bourdain co-written, the late great Anthony Bourdain, co-written series with art by Langdon Foss. Really, really interesting. I remember Jim Lee when he announced this at San Diego Comic-Con, telling a funny story about Anthony Bourdain. It was great. And then Robin Year One is getting a trade paperback as well. And this is going way back when Robin was under the pen of Chuck Dixon and Scott Beatty, with pencils by Javier Pulido, inks by Robert Campanella, colors by Lee Lowridge. 216 pages, $20, collecting that Robin Year One story. All right, time for rankings. I think I went first last week, Rocky, so take it away.
Yeah, coming in at number 11. I should say that I never counted it in my rankings. There was Justice League. What do you call that video game?
Yeah. I didn't even.
Yeah. I forget. There's one issue. We should probably just give it a shout out here. Or maybe I never even. I probably never even. I forget. I forget the character, that cartoon, that Rocket character. But anyways, pick of the week. Let's see. My rankings coming in at number 11, Adventures of Superman, House of L, number 10. Coming in at number 10, Arcadia, Batman, Question, Green Arrow, number 4. Coming in at number 9, Poison Ivy, 46. Number 8, Deadman 2. Number 7, 100 Bullets, USA of Anger. Number 6, JSA 21. My top 5, coming in at number 5, Batgirl 21. Number 4, Absolute Green Lantern 16. Coming in at number 3, Absolute Martian Manhunter 12. And coming in at number 2, Batman 11. And coming in at number 1, which absolutely surprised the hell out of me, but I enjoyed it, was Supergirl Survive number 2, which is I would never have thought in a million years. But Batman 11 definitely was in competition for it, but I just thought, you know what, because I was so disappointed in the Supergirl movie, I went with Supergirl Survive, put it in my number 1 spot.
I thought we were going to have three books the same in the top five, but we only ended up with two. So anyway, for me, at number 11, I've got the 100 Bullets. At number 10, I've got the Absolute Martian Manhunter number 12. Coming in at number 9, I have Deadman number 2. At number 8, Batman Green Arrow, the Question Arcadia number 4. Coming in at 7, Supergirl Survive issue number 2. At number 6, Poison Ivy 46, which, man, we're getting really close to 50 on that. It's crazy to me. And then for my top five, just like you, I've got Batgirl at number 21 at 5. And we also have issue 4 the same, the Absolute Green Lantern number 16. Then my top three, at number 3, I've got Adventures of Superman Book of L number 10. At number 2, I've got JSA 21, which leaves my number 1, which I thought you were going to pick for number 1 as well, but you have it at 2. But my number 1, yeah, Batman number 11. Again, it's a Pennyworth back in the mansion that apparently was not blown up. And so, yeah, it was an easy pick for me this week. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Don't forget, if you're listening audio only, the episode is always available on the podcast audio feed, which you can find on your favorite podcasting app or platform. Just do a search and subscribe, and you've got thousands of past episodes to listen to. The Comic Source Weekly continues to come out every Saturday. It was a little late this week. I had a lot of technical difficulties, so it still came out on Saturday, but I'd like to get it out kind of earlier in the day. So appreciate everybody's support on that. And then don't forget, if you're listening audio only and you want to see the art, you want to see the covers, you want to see our smiling faces every week, just head over to YouTube, go to Rocky's channel, Comic Space Boom, ! And once you're there, subscribe, ring that notification bell. You know when new books or new episodes rather are coming out. And then don't forget to leave some comments below. Let us know what you thought of this week's DC titles as well. And as long as you're at YouTube, if you head over to the Comic Source YouTube channel, you can see that Comic Source Weekly show. You can see all the interviews I'm doing. Right now, I just recently dropped an interview with the creative team from Chew, John Layman and Rob Guillory, about their Kickstarter that's going on right now for a comic called Ghost Brawler, which is about a boxer that gets killed in the ring. He's resuscitated. He comes back to life, and he can now see and punch ghosts. And he starts up like kind of like a ghost busting business, and he's working with a priest and what have you for people whose houses are haunted. And he goes and beats up the ghosts and makes them leave. I mean, it just sounds like a blast, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, go and check that out if you're so inclined. If you're a fan of Chew, I know you'll really, really dig it. So again, appreciate everybody tuning in as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.